the optimist in the house.
I'm the optimist in the house, and I'd like to look at it from...
And please, while you're looking at that, can you also tell us how we can reduce our dependence on the dollar?
Yes. But I'd like to look at it from the various sectors of the economy that drive the economy. Power is going to be a major sector in 2013 and going forward, based on the recent reform, the privatization of that sector in terms of the distribution companies and the generating companies. There's going to be a lot of investment, especially foreign direct investment, that will come into that sector and would hopefully move us from the 4,000 megawatts that we're doing right now, and based on what he's been talking about in terms of the manufacturing sector and some of the cost of doing business for them, if power is readily available and the cost is brought down, then there's no going saying the fact that the cost of production will come down. So power is going to be an area of focus for us banks, especially in terms of financing, the acquisition, and also the capex and the working capital that would happen in that sector. Telecoms, quite big as well. A lot of them are doing a lot more, a lot of spend in terms of their infrastructure, in terms of the optic fiber, and so we're giving out a lot of loans to the telecom sector. Then, of course...
I'm sorry. Yeah. How will that be affected by the recent happenings up in the north, the attacks on the infrastructure?
Has to be replaced. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, the infrastructure in the north has been damaged. Yes, there have been bombings there, but that area would settle, hopefully, if we're able to look at sort out the social. But they would still need to do some investment in that sector, in that area. So we're giving out more loans to the telecom sector, the food and bev, whichever way you look at it. The manufacturing sector, as it relates to the food and beverage in Nigeria, actually not just provides for Nigeria, but the whole of West Africa. We, as a bank, EcoBank, were involved in the exports, formal exports of a lot of Nigerian products out of Nigeria to Ghana, to Togo, to Senegal, to Cote d'Ivoire. So you see companies like BAT, Nestle, setting up their factories in Nigeria, Agbara, and this is all fact. Their factories for Africa are in Nigeria. But obviously, the cost of production has to go down, especially when you come to power. But so these are some of the areas that drive the economy, and we as a bank will continue to champion in 2013. And of course, you also have what's going on in the upstream sector of the oil and gas. You see that there's more play by the indigenous players into the oil and gas, the upstream. So your Shell and other IOCs are selling their assets, and the Nigerians are getting and playing in that sector with ripple effects. Because once you have Nigerian companies on the upstream, then of course the midstream and the local content bill, then you have more Nigerians playing in that sector as well. So I think 2013, subject to a lot of our social issues, the Boko Haram factor, the Niger Delta issues, and then of course political what's going on 2015 and all that. I think I'm optimistic that 2013, barring all those social issues that we're facing, challenges, it should be a good year.
Okay, well, we've got a few questions that Nigerians are asking on Twitter, and I'll bring a couple of them up just now. Someone called Nwike Nwezo is saying that, Mr. Tunde Lemo, we need data to improve lending. What's CBN doing in terms of data gathering?
Very good question. Foluke mentioned the credit bureau. They started about 3-4 years ago. You have robust data when you have data history of at least 5 years. And so with their data getting more and more robust, I think we should be very comfortable in 2013 with data.
Okay, then Tayaro Jolu is asking CBN again, banks lend to governments, not to traders. why is CBN not encouraging banks to lend more to traders?
We don't give banks instruction on where to lend because of issues of moral hazard. They run their businesses, and so they have decision as to where to lend. However, we do provide incentive, which is why, of course, we provided soft funds through BOI to some sectors that are targeted for growth. However, we've talked about why lending to government is huge, because in the last 5 to 6 years, our domestic debt has grown in size. And of course, which is why central bank is canvassing, is actually advising that our deficit level should go down and then government should shrink. When that happens, of course, we'll be able to free up more resources to the private sector.
Well, Femi Akonde is another question just for you. It seems there's lots of questions on Twitter coming for you. Femi Akonde on Twitter is also asking, it says, what role is the CBN playing in ensuring reduction in the country's debt profile?
Well, that's a fiscal issue. We provide advisory role in the sense that sitting down, we can advise government on the optimum debt mix and so on and so forth. And we do that very diligently. The governor of central bank is on the economic team and one of my colleagues. And of course, we do advise from time to time. We took care of our foreign debt some 5-6 years ago. The domestic debt is ballooning, and that has to be restructured and has to be paid down. And central bank has been very consistent in advising that that should go down.
Okay, then we have to wind up now, I'm being told. So, Mr. Boyo, we start with you. What's your final word? Be a bit optimistic.
Well, I don't know how to deceive people. I mean, the indices are not there, and there doesn't appear to be any conscious, realistic, arrangement to get us to the point where we can take off. It's a very funny country. A situation where we give money, plenty of money to the banks. The banks are making plenty of money. At the same time, AMCON has, created a debt burden of about 5 trillion naira with a loss base of about 2.7 trillion, and the banks are still laughing to their bedrooms and things like that, and we are dying in the process. And somebody tells me I should be optimistic. No, it can't be. I can't be. The reality is, until you recognize the fact that central bank is the culprit in this matter. They are the culprit in this matter. They must stop creating excess liquidity when they capture the dollar earnings of the country and go into the printing press and create naira. Until we stop that, my dear friend, we are in soup. We will continue to get poorer and poorer. Indeed, you would find that the situation where we have now got a better benchmark, for example, for crude oil, 79 instead of 80, we might say, okay, it will reduce the deficit. But the backside of that, the flip side of that is that means the problem of excess liquidity is going to be greater, because the more dollars that are now converted into naira will have belly aches. The banks will smile, of course, because the guy is come again to borrow back his own money.
Okay, Mr. Aboderin, your final word?
My final to the banks?
No, your final word regarding the banking industry.
We're making progress.
Short and sharp.
We are making progress as a country and as a people. I think we're making progress. It might be slow, but I think with a lot more focus, financial discipline, we'll get there.
Okay, Mr. Lemo.
For me, I see hope, and I think we should all be optimistic. Our government should remain consistent in developing infrastructure. Central bank has done so well in achieving macroeconomic stability. Exchange rates is stable. Forex level is robust. And I believe that 2013 will be great if we all do what we're supposed to do.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Phew. We have been chatting with the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, the Deputy Governor Operations of the Central Bank, Mr. Tunde Lemo, Henry Boyo, an economist, and Ms. Foluke Aboderin, a bank executive. Thank you all very much for coming to share your time with us on this last Saturday of 2012.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you in 2013.
Thank you.
Sunrise is not going away yet. We've only just got started. So stay with us. We'll just take a short